Joined now by Dave Johnson and pitching coaches Rick Adair, Mark Connor before him. They're always working with the pitchers to keep those mechanics of the starters fine. And one little flaw, one little thing that deviates can affect the pitching. Now, you've noticed with Jake Arrieta, there's something with his follow-through that may be preventing him from being more consistent with his command. Take us through it and explain what he might be able to change that you think that he could be more effective.
Yeah, I think, Jim, to some extent, we're nitpicking. I mean, because, Jake Arrieta has been one of the better and more consistent pitchers for the Orioles this year. But my point is that he pitches with the real stiff front side, and you can notice in that video there that his head is behind his front foot when he throws the ball. He doesn't actually get forward. See, he's cutting himself off where everything's behind his front foot because he's got that stiff front side. So when you're in that position to where you can't get over it, you don't allow your upper body to help you throw the ball. And I equate that where, again, if you're going to punch somebody, you don't punch somebody falling backwards. Well, you'll notice Jake, when he throws the ball, he gets stiff on the front side and throws the ball, and then he kind of does that little two-step coming back, as opposed to maybe shorten up the front side, maybe an inch, half-inch, inch and a half, depends. It's different for everybody. But if he shortened it up and he could bend on that front knee and he could allow his momentum in his body to go through the target and get in this position, he would dominate more with his right side. I'm talking about it with my son all the time, Steven, where when he gets a problem, we've seen this with Tillman, they have a tendency to get stiff and they rotate real hard on their front side and they spin out. We've seen this multiple times with the Orioles, especially the hard throwers. Jake's not real bad at that. He does dominate with his right side, but his front side on his left foot does not allow him to get through the ball and finish there. I think that if he could shorten that stride, get more towards the target, get further, closer to home plate, that maybe his hand would be more fluid towards home plate and he would be able to get the ball more consistently down in the strike zone, because he pitches a lot up in the strike zone. And his problem is his pitch count is high, throws too many pitches per inning, and therefore he can't get deep into ball games. And obviously, every time you do that, you're showing the hitters more pitches too. So I think this is something that could help Jake. But it's very difficult to change. I mean,
Right.
even if Rick Adair agreed with me, and he said, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Let's try that. To implement that during the season and have Jake, during his bullpen sessions, try to shorten that a little bit, he could get worse before he gets better. The Orioles can't afford him to get worse before they get better. So maybe it's something he might think about during the offseason, that when you go into your training, you start a little sooner and you just address that situation there.
It's kind of amazing to me, because if you think back a couple of years ago, Dave Schmidt took Jim Johnson aside and said, Jim, your stride is not long enough. And when he lengthened his stride, his stuff became electric. And here in this case, in your opinion, just a little bit less of a stride not only would improve his command, that he does average 17 pitches per inning. So even if you cut that down to 15, by the end of the game, he gets another inning out of that. But what about the velocity and the command of the velocity by simply cleaning up your stride?
Well, it can help. Again, if you flow more towards home plate, you may add velocity. You may stay away from the stiffness and the rigidness of throwing the ball and being stiff on that front side. So the more everything flows and is more fluid, then it takes a little bit of stress off of it. So it's just something I've seen with him, because what I really noticed before the stiff front side was that when he throws the ball, he has that little two-step,
yeah,
recoil.
Yeah.
And look, there's plenty of guys that have pitched in the big leagues. There's guys in the Hall of Fame that have done that. But you know what? Jake's not at that level yet, and to me, what might help him is if he could get more fluid towards home plate and allow his upper body to dominate. I always talk about that. You got to let the side dominate that you throw with. I think too many guys, they get up here and they try to throw hard, and they get to where they dominate with that front side. They get here, and this happens where you actually this has got to be nice and smooth. And then when you dominate with the side that you actually throw with. So that side goes towards home plate, not dominate here where this is just an afterthought.
You know, it's interesting. The newest pitcher on this staff, Mitch Atkins, who made his Oriole debut the other night, his mechanics were perfect. Jim Palmer was talking about it, how he was fluid towards the plate, and as a result, he's a strike thrower. He doesn't have near the stuff that Jake Arrieta has, but he was very effective because he pitched to both sides of the plate, went right at the target, and he was very effective. So we'll see tonight if Jake Arrieta maybe improves his command, but very interesting. You're talking about maybe an inch on the follow-through, and it might make all the difference in the world. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. Very, very educational. You even brought your own prop. I like that.
Absolutely.